Hello, I'm Emma B. Perez, life design and career coach for teens and young adults. This Empower Your Teen YouTube channel is all about supporting parents. To learn how your high school or college age child can go from undecided to excited, click the link in the description box. To get even more support as a parent, just stick around by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. Okay, let's get to today's topic. All right, everyone, I would like to introduce you to Debra Beck of Empowered Teens and Parents. She is the author of the award-winning book, My Feet Aren't Ugly, A Girl's Guide to Loving Herself from the Inside Out. She is also the proud parent of 2 daughters and a devoted mentor to teen girls and their families. Thank you for joining me, Debra.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So would you mind starting by just telling us your story? How is it that you came to mentoring teen girls and their families?
Well, I was a pretty tormented teen myself. I was bullied a lot, and I didn't have a great support system at home. I had parents that really could be involved because of their own issues. So I grew up just feeling really isolated and separated, and always thought it was really my stuff, So when I had daughters of my own, I realized, oh my gosh, this is a universal problem. This isn't just about me, right? And so then I started really, when they became teens, I was just really observing, and I was like, oh my God, this is something I want to do. For the rest of my life, this is what I want to do. I want to help teens and their parents to be able to, give teens the support they need and help teens come into more empowerment. And so that's pretty much how I came into it. So
that's amazing. That's definitely something I've learned since I've become a parent is, oh my gosh, sometimes I got to check myself a little bit. So
right.
Yeah, so I appreciate anyone out there that's helping parents and especially helping teens.
Yeah.
So we have parents that are with us on this series that have gotten to the topic of what comes next after high school for their teens. That is the question, right?
Yes,
So in your work, is this something that comes up very often?
It does come up where that maybe they're having fear around what their teens are going to do, because they seem a little lost and just having fun. And, some of them buckle down and they're really into school and they really know where they're going. But I would say 80% of them are not. And so I think that is, that could be an issue for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
And how does this process of planning their future, how does it affect relationships? Is it something that can affect our family dynamics greatly or just a little?
Well, I think that, I had talked to you before about my daughter. My oldest daughter, I have 2 daughters. When she was 15, when I started talking to her about what college are you going to, what do you want to major in, and she just was kind of like, yeah, I don't think I want to go to college. And I was just like, what do you mean? I mean, that was always just on the table, of course you're going to college. And I kept pushing and pushing and pushing and being like, no, you're going to college. This is not an option. And finally, I was pushing up against it for a good year. Finally, I think it was her junior year. She's like, I'm not going to college and you need to back off or you're going to ruin our relationship.
Wow.
And so I was like, wow, okay, I need to accept this. And then she needs to accept the consequences, whatever those are. And so she's 42 now and going to college. And she said that was a very big mistake that she made. She couldn't blame it on me because she knew how hard I pushed for it. So it was like that was the consequence of her decision, which I think is really important, right? So yes, it can affect the dynamics of a family definitely. When a parent's pushing or, I think there's a way to do it. I mean, I think that when my kids were younger, I just always just made the assumption that they were going. And then when they came up against me, I was just like, what do you mean? And so maybe, I'd always talk to them about it. So it's just that it can go either way. I think we as parents have to be able to handle if our kids say, I'm not going. But then also with that, when she was 18, I said, that's okay. But when you're 18, that's a decision you make. I'm no longer supporting you. You have to go out in the world, and then you're an adult. Then you are going to be an adult. And, maybe you could be a kid for a little longer if you were in college.
Wow.
You
yeah,
know?
that's true.
And so she did. Both my kids moved out at 18, and they started their life, and they started in the workforce. And, and I think they get to look at what it would have been like if they would have gone to college.
Oh, wow. Wow. So she's now going to college, but with a
Right.
completely different perspective, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally different. At 42,
Yeah.
close to 18 or 17. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. So, okay, for the parents out there who are just starting to talk about what comes next with their kids, what about the ones who are just met with a lot of, I don't know, mom, I don't know, dad, IDK.
Right.
What is that about?
Well, I think that we have to be really careful about talking to them like the minute they hit high school. When they're in 9th grade, I don't think they want to hear what they're going to be doing in 4 years. That's too big of a stretch for them.
Yeah.
Really? I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to be doing in 4 years, but so I think that, I have a pretty good idea. But certainly when I was in 9th grade at 14, I was not looking at planning my future. So I think that if parents could just give them a year to integrate into high school, because it is, they're a kid and then they're in high school, but they're not really mature enough yet in 9th grade. And so give them that year to integrate and then talk to them when they're 15, when they're in 10th grade. So what are you thinking? What are you thinking you might want to be when you grow up? What do you think you might want to do? What colleges do you think you might be interested? Do you want to live at home? Do you want to go be adventurous? Like, then have conversations and ask a lot of questions instead of, you're going to college and this is where you're going. I think that I come up against that a lot, where the teens that I'm mentoring say, well, my mom wants me to go to USL or whatever, and I don't want to. And it's just like, well, parents, you know what? You got to kind of let your kids go where they want to go. Because, I had some friends that pushed their kids to go to a certain college. She got there and she was having a mental breakdown. She did not want to be there. She wanted to have her first year closer to home.
Wow.
So she ended up coming home. And it was a very traumatic experience for her.
Oh my goodness.
So I think listening to the kids, if the kids, do say, hey, you know what, I think I want to be close to home for the first year. Listen, don't kind of throw them out of the nest maybe when they're not ready.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know that a lot of times in schools, you start hearing about college right away. This is what you got to do to get in. These are the grades you got to have. These are the extracurriculars, da-da-da-da. And maybe there's a sense of, we need to start from the beginning, planning the right courses and the right da-da-da. What would you say to families and parents who are feeling that sense of, we got to get this right from the beginning?
Well, what I mentor parents on is looking at your own anxiety, your own fear, because when our fear as a parent gets in the way of our children's moving forward, we need to work with our own stuff on that. Because a lot of times that fear gets in the way, and then the child doesn't even know what they want because they're so busy dealing with their parents' neuroses, quite frankly. Right? And so they can't even make a decision in their mind because their emotions are so wrapped up in their parents' emotion. So the parent has got to get a handle on their emotional state before even having these conversations, because parents normally come in with a lot of fear that the kids aren't going to make it, fear that, oh my God, kids are getting out of college and they have all this debt and they're only making $30,000 a year and can't, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of fear on the parent side. And so that's why I think I told you that I used to just mentor teens, and then I realized, man, I am in no man's land. So I started mentoring parents. Now, if I had a choice to mentor parents or teens, if they could only, one of them could go, I will mentor the parent 9 times out of 10.
Wow.
Because I can shift an entire family dynamic by working with the mother. It's like a miracle.
Wow.
Because I work with her emotions. And once she gets her emotions intact, and the child kind of relaxes more, and then they can start having a conversation without that frenetic energy out there.
It's amazing how much children pick up on what we're feeling, even if they don't have the words or even really understand it. They really pick up on what we're feeling.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They may not even be able to name it.
Right.
But they feel it. And it's, and I mean, believe me, I've mentored enough teens and enough parents, and I can mentor a parent the first time and know you are pushing your daughter into higher anxiety than she should have.
Wow.
That's an epidemic right now, anxiety with teens. And when I mentor the parents, I'm like, holy cow, you're packed full of anxiety. And so now the child has to deal with her own anxiety and yours. And so as soon as I have the parent where she's understanding her anxiety and she's calming down, it's amazing how the teen comes into this, because it's like the person they're tethered to is a calm space. And so I mean, working with moms to me is like, wow, like that's where I make the biggest difference.
Wow. I'm laughing and nodding because I totally get that. My daughter's 4, and already I'm like, oh man, I really need to. She's like a little mirror.
Right.
So I'm just like, oh man, I really need to calm myself down. And so that's what I'm working on right now for myself. So.
Right. That's beautiful.
Yes, so I completely understand. Okay, so do you have any advice or tips that you can give families for just getting through this process of helping their teen make decisions about their next steps?
Well, I think, first of all, if you have any anxiety about it, deal with your own anxiety first before you even go to your teen. And so you're going to your teen in a higher place of being instead of, oh my God, what are you going to do? Right? And so you're going to them in a calm way of just saying, and just have a calm conversation about, have you given it any thought? What would you like to do when you grow up? Have you, because some teens really do know. They're very directed. They know, but some teens don't. Well, do you want to go to college? Do you want to go to a tech school? What do you want to do? What are you thinking? And if they say, I just don't know, say, well, maybe what you could do is a dump list. I always give kids to do, like, just write down, even no matter, just not looking at any of the limits. No limits, writing down. Even if it's, I want to be a rock star, just write it all down. Everything you could ever really possibly dream that you would want to be. And let's look at that and see what are the possibilities. So get the ball rolling, and don't pressure them so much. Like in a week, okay, well, did you do your dump list? And you may want to say, you know what? I thought that was such a cool idea. I did a dump list on just things that I want to explore as an adult, and show them your dump list so that they may get enrolled in it, because you have to get them enrolled, because if it's your idea and something you're pushing, they will push back on it 9 times out of 10. So if you can enroll them in this, it's much easier, and just, I would say, keep that frenetic energy out of it, for sure.
I like it. So instead of coming to it with an energy of, okay, we got to figure out what you're going to do, and we got to make sure that you're going to have plenty of money and just make it more of a fun, lighthearted exercise. Maybe we all do it. What are fun things that we want to try in our life?
Right.
And I really like the idea too of the dump list where you have lots of different things, because I think that takes the pressure off of finding the one thing.
Right. Totally.
So,
Totally. And it gives them an opportunity to look at what they're passionate about. Like, what really gets you up in the morning going, yes, because that's what you want to do with your career. You don't want to get up and go, you know, or go to school and go, oh, I don't want to do this. No, you want to be like, yes, this is something I want to do. Because we know that when we're passionate about anything, that's our driving force. When we're not passionate, there's no drive. So it's important to help our kids be passionate, to find their passion, really.
that's where the motivation comes from, right?
Right. So
Excellent.
yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I love that. Thank you so much for being here today. You gave us some really great stuff. I appreciate it.
You bet.
We'll talk again soon.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.